Good afternoon, Professor Hans Leisen, and thank you so much, sir, for granting us the opportunity again, sir, to interview sir in Siem Reap province. And last time we interviewed you at a tower of Angkor Wat Temple, which is under the restoration, you know, the scaffolding, the stairs. And now we have another great opportunity to interview sir at your, let's say, office here in the middle of the city of Angkor, or maybe the city of Siem Reap, sir. I have a lot of questions today, actually, and I also, posed a number of questions before. So today I wanted to, continue, my curiosity about your work, not only at Angkor, but upon, a number of searches that I have done on the internet. You also worked in Egypt. You also work in Indonesia, I think the Borobudur Temple, and also Ayutthaya city of Thailand, sir, and also masonry in Germany, sir. So can you tell us a bit, the journey that you have spent in each country, sir, and do they interlink in some way to your accumulation of knowledge, sir?
Actually, first of all, thank you for coming again and for your interest in our projects and our work. I'm very happy about this. Yeah, actually, of course, I was teaching at university for a long time, had a lot of students there. And of course, at university, it's very important to increase knowledge by research, etc. And of course, in our case, it must be always somewhere outside on the monuments, and especially in Cologne we have the famous Cologne Cathedral, and which is very, very specific concerning the problems. Of course, the construction is totally different from the Angkor temples, while the Angkor temples are more flat, even when the Angkor Wat is quite high. Yeah? But Cologne Cathedral is a huge building and has huge towers up to 159 meters, etc. And the specific problem at Cologne Cathedral is it's built during its whole history, built with about, let's say, 45 to 50 different stone materials. One thing, the construction, but also inside the sculpture, the altar piece, graves, etc., which are distributed in the cathedral. They are from different materials and all required different treatment, and they behave in a different way. So this was a wonderful place where we worked with our students very often. And for the students, of course, they could increase their knowledge a lot about these different materials. We have been working also on cemeteries, which is also interesting, because cemeteries normally have, during the ages, different fashions of stone and different styles, etc. So also there we have the different problems on the stone weathering, different approaches in conservation, etc. But of course, sometimes it's also interesting to go abroad. And we have been also working in a Greek city in Turkey. We have been working on two places in Egypt. One was in central Egypt, and it's called Ptolemaic. It's a time span in a Ptolemaic destroyed temple, limestone mainly, but also with bas-reliefs, hieroglyphs, and polychrome decorated. And of course, this is a very specific challenge. We have very big problems concerning the stability of the stone. We had a lot of problems with damaging salts there as well. And of course, the superficial polychrome layers, they are highly endangered when you have salt problems, etc. and climatic changes, strong climatic changes. One of the most challenging places for us was totally in southwest Egypt, in the desert,
Yes.
It's called Vadisura, which means the Wadi, the valley of pictures. And there in the 1930s, a Hungarian discovered paintings in the middle of the desert.
Paintings?
Paintings, rock art.
Rock art.
Rock art. We have a lot of rock art in the Sahara Desert, yeah, but there it's really very, very dry desert. And in the 1990s, an Italian tourist and his son discovered another place, which is most probably one of the richest rock art sites in whole Africa. It's a shelter with 6,000 to 8,000 figures, animals, people, different shape, etc. So, and this in the middle of a very dry desert. This means at that time when they were painted, let's say 8,000, 9,000 years ago, there was a savanna. So people could live there. There was a lake close to this shelter. And for us, of course, it was challenging. First of all, we had to go from the last oasis, 4 days off-road with trucks to reach this place. We were sleeping under the sky in the desert. Of course, during the day it's hot. We had sandstorms. And of course, the rock art research and conservation is very, very sophisticated because you have to deal with paintings on the bulk rock, yeah, and on the bedrock. And of course, there are different challenges, like if you work on monuments, yeah, which are man-made, yeah.
So
okay.
They were prehistoric, sir? You mean
prehistoric?
Prehistoric.
Yeah, let's say around 10,000 years old. Yeah.
Oh, and your job was to preserve what is on the wall.
First of all, our approach, researching what is the materials used, what are the painting techniques, how did they paint it, etc. Of course, we always, in all worldwide rock art sites, we have hand stencils. But if they are painted figures, animals, giraffes, gazelles, other birds, big birds, etc. And people, and in this one we had a sort of a monster which is not explained yet what this monster means. So this is of course the first challenge, and then we did a lot of climatic measurements, pigment analysis, etc. And then the question how we can consolidate these paintings. Yeah, actually at the end we did test areas outside the site, not on the paintings, but then there was the political changes, where Egypt, Libya, etc., and then it was closed. Nobody could go there since that time anymore. So we don't know what happened now to the paintings. Yeah, but very, very interesting and challenging, and of course, sleeping under the sky with stars you never can see here. Yeah, because it's much clearer, no clouds, etc.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, a similar project we had in East Timor.
Oh, East Timor,
in
Indonesia,
the
sir.
far east of East Timor, there are also prehistoric rock art sites, which are most probably older than the ones in the Sahara Desert. Yeah, there we did also some research with the colleagues from a university in Dili, which was also very interesting. We did also 3D scanning of one is a huge cave, others are just shelters in the mountains. Also very, very interesting. And of course, our part is always to do the, let's say, scientific approach to the rock art itself, not the interpretation, but the materials used, the condition of the rock art, etc. While the others, the archaeology, look after the meaning of the pictures, etc., and do excavation for the dating, etc. Yeah, you mentioned Ayutthaya.
Ayutthaya, yes.
Yeah, I have to say more or less all these projects, or most of the projects, are funded by our German government, by the Cultural Preservation Program, which is also funding our project in Angkor since 1997. So
Yes, sir.
3 years, we have 30 years Angkor project. And this was after, you might remember, maybe in 2011, there were big floods in Siem Reap, but also in Thailand. Yeah, big parts of northern Bangkok was flooded. Ayutthaya, the capital, the kings of Ayutthaya, which built a lot of temples in 14th, 15th century, 16th century. This city of Ayutthaya was totally flooded for weeks or months nearly, yeah. And there was the request from the Thai government to the German government as well, like to other governments. We met colleagues from Japan, from WMF, US, from, in this case, from the Netherlands, because the Netherlands are famous for the dams, building dams against the sea. And we started there in 2012 with a project at one temple which is called Wat Ratchaporana. And there was a certain coincidence as well. You asked for the impact of one project to the other. Here we started with the projects conserving the stucco at the brick towers at that time. And in Wat Ratchaporana, there's the big prang, this covered with stucco, and mainly there we have close to the floor, we have huge guardian figures, also brick construction, but covered with stucco. Yes, so we developed the program, and like in most of the project, the first aim is to train people, to educate people in conserving monuments with different materials. And so we had two projects also with students in Pakong at that time and in Ayutthaya. And so we increased the knowledge about the stuccos and what to do, which methodology we can use with methods to preserve it. And since that time we are working in Pakong, which is now finished, the stucco, and moved to Preako now. Yeah. And in Ayutthaya, the trained team, or the team we trained, is now working on other temples, in this case with the World Monument Funds in Ayutthaya and Wat Chai Watanaram. Yeah, so this is very nice. One project I want to mention, which is very sad, we started in, let's say, 2017, in Bagan in Myanmar.
Oh, yes, sir. Because of the issue in the country.
Now, at that time, 2016, there was a big earthquake. Oh. You know, the whole Myanmar lies in a seismic zone.
Yes, sir.
And there's a huge fault running through or close to Bagan, and in this huge tectonic structures, there is always movement, and so very often they have big damages on the temples in Bagan. So the Myanmar government asked the German government again, like other countries, we met colleagues we know from Cambodia, also from Japan, we met in Bagan as well, etc. And we thought we are working, most of the temples are brick temples with stucco decoration, yes, and inside wall paintings. So one colleague of us from Germany was working on a temple with wall paintings, and we thought we are doing the conservation of stucco, train people again. Yeah, there were young staff of the Bagan Conservation Office, but we were requested to do one of the few sandstone structures in Bagan. So we selected a smaller temple and started with the preparation of the whole project, training step by step in this whole process, also the team. But finally, you know, then there was the pandemic in 2000. Yes. We had to leave the country at that time. and then we couldn't return because we had the military coup d'etat in 2021. So
that project was left uncontinued until today.
Everything was prepared. We brought all the machines for preparing materials. We have all the conservation materials for the whole temple in Bagan, but we don't know what's happening. Yeah. This is very sad. Yeah.
Yes, sir. And another temple that I am also interested is Borobudur, sir. I mean, it's also a very big temple in Indonesia and also a very iconic symbol, you know, in Southeast Asia, sir. So what did you do at Borobudur, sir?
Actually, it's one of the most interesting and beautiful heritage or monuments, religious monuments we know. Yeah. For us, it was a big honor that we were asked if we could go there. This was again after in 2050 there was a big volcanic eruption. Close to Borobudur we have several volcanoes, and the whole Indonesia lies on the seismic zone, the Pacific seismic zone. So very often there are earthquakes and volcanic eruption, and one of the most active volcanoes in the world is Merapi, which is, you can see it from Borobudur. So, and this was a huge eruption, and the whole Borobudur was covered with ashes from the volcanic eruption, and the staff there, they had a well-trained young team already. They did already some analysis, and they cleaned very quickly. But nevertheless, it was the question if there's a negative influence of the ashes on the temple. And so we were first asked to do a sort of a survey first, but then we extended. We asked the German government if they can give more money, several years, and we trained also the staff with modern research techniques and did a lot of investigations together with them. I don't know if you know, there was a huge intervention at the beginning of the 20th century by Van Erp. It was Dutch. Yeah, he dismantled the upper part, the upper terraces of the Borobudur and stabilized, etc. There were leaning walls, etc. And on top we have these wonderful bell-shaped
where they put the statue inside
stupas, with a sitting Buddha inside. Many were destroyed, etc. So he rebuilt. And then in the 70s there was a big UNESCO guided intervention for the lower parts, where we have on the steps, on the walls, the famous bas-reliefs of the life of Buddha, and also the galleries outside, again with many small chapels with sitting Buddhas inside. And but nevertheless, they did a static stabilization at that time. They tried to control the water runoff of the temple, but nevertheless, still a lot of water was coming out of the walls. So there was water seepage, increasing in the temple, etc. And so we focused on some specific tasks due to this water transport through the volcanic stone. In this case, it's a sort of andesitic to basaltic rock from the volcanoes. There was dilution of specific minerals, and on the top we have sort of crusts, whitish crusts, which step by step can destroy the bas-reliefs. Yeah. The other point was that still there was water seepage. Yeah. So we brought colleagues, experts with specific small cameras which can go into the channels and everywhere to control the condition of the channels, etc. And we had another question to deal with. In many museums in the world, you find heads of the Buddhas of Borobudur and other Buddhist temples in Indonesia. And there are many in these chapels, Buddha sculpture without head. But in the office or in the depot of the Borobudur Conservation Office, they had around, I think, some 50 heads. And is the question, they always want to bring them back to the original position, to the original sculpture. Yes, but it's very difficult to decide which head belongs to the body. So we did a lot of investigations. The main problem was when they found the heads, they cut the neck underneath. Yes, it's smooth, that they could put it on a desk or on the table. So normally you should have a breakage at the head side and the neck below and on the body. So you could do a cast of both and then check from the head where it fits at the temple, at the bodies. But this is not possible. So we had to do investigation on the different varieties of the andesitic rock, etc. Wow. Actually, we couldn't also finish this task, but the Borobudur team is able now to continue this work, and most probably they found solutions for this.
Yes, sir. But just a simple question from me. So the heads are not identical, sir. You mean the facial expression of each Buddha statue is different?
Each Buddha statue is different. It's different variety of the rocks, etc. Yeah?
So you cannot just put the head to any body.
No, it's not possible. Yeah.
Okay. So
also the neck, the size of the necks are different. So you have to find the right dimension. Yeah. But as the neck below is smooth, yes, this is another challenge, of course. But nevertheless, this has to fit properly, yeah. And the color of the body and the color of the head, the let's say the texture of the stone, everything has to fit to it. So we did, for example, magnetic stability, which is different in different varieties of the rocks. We did ultrasonic testing. The different varieties have a different ultrasonic velocity, and we did water absorption measurements, and all these parameters we tried to fit into a system. Yeah.
Oh my God! So,
yeah, it's a puzzle, like a puzzle. Yeah,
it's a very surgical procedure.
Yeah. But challenging and very, very interesting, and we liked it very much to be there as well. Yeah.
Yes, sir. So all of this you have done in the past 40 years, 50 years, something like that, sir?
Actually, I'm in the field since 1985. I started 1985, with the preservation or with what we call conservation science.
So 40 years.
Yeah, 40 years. 40. Yeah.
And another question, sir, because I have read a few of your research paper, and yes, you have a lot of technical tools to study, especially the stone of Angkor. Sometimes you have that big machine that drills, and then they,
drilling
draw
resistance.
The graph. Yes, draw the graph, immediately. And also you have something like a pipe that measure the water secretion from the stone. I mean, forgive me for my, I don't know a lot of technical.
The water uptake of the stone, yes, which is different also at different varieties of the stone. Yeah.
Yes, sir. So normally, when you work on project like this, I mean, do you have, for example, the prior knowledge to know which tool to use exactly, or sometimes you just throw things and then see what sticks to the wall? And is there any success or failure along the way, sir?
Yeah, actually, of course, every monument is different.
Yes, sir.
So also we have a systematic approach, which is always the same. What we have to do, we have to look at it, we have to make a documentation, we have to do some research, etc., to come to the point when we can say we can design the conservation concept, and then we have to test again which method is the best for the application, etc. But of course, due to the fact that the task, the monuments are different, the tasks are different, we have to select specific tools or research techniques. Of course, we have the experience that we select specific ones where we know this might give us a good information or a good result. Yeah? We don't just say, oh, we use everything what we can do and we apply and then we will see the outcome. No, we have a strategy. We know what due to our observation, to the documentation, we know the problems. Then we can select specific tools, techniques, etc. It's not only at the site, of course, with the Karsten pipe, what you mentioned, where we can measure the water uptake. You might understand, for example, what we had at Borobudur, which is a magmatic stone. It's much denser than the sandstone from Angkor. Yeah. The stucco is different from the sandstone. The brick is different from the stucco or from the sandstone, and all have specific values or varieties of values, for example, for this water uptake. And this water uptake is not only interesting to have a specific value to describe the material, but also for the conservation. For example, when we have to apply these consolidants, which we use, ethyl silicate, we know from the water uptake measurement how much we have to apply that the stone becomes consolidated.
Yes, sir.
So we select our techniques at the site. Yeah, we have non-destructive techniques, ultrasound technique as well. Yeah, but we have also the similar techniques in the lab. We have to do a lot of tests. The water absorption test, ultrasonic test in the lab on samples. Strength tests, etc.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So we have a list of parameters which are important for the deterioration of the stone, but also important for the conservation. And we measure many of these parameters. Yeah? And then at the end, we will see when we do tests for mortars, when we do tests for consolidation, we try to adjust the values of the conservation intervention to the values of the unweathered or weathered stone parameter. That's why we have a lot of testing, etc. We have to know, for example, how is the composition of the sandstones. Yeah, we know Bantas Rey sandstone is quite different from Angkor Wat sandstone. The sandstone from the top of Takeo is different from both of the others. This we can see in a so-called thin section analysis, where we have small samples, which is polished on one side, glued on a glass plate, and then the whole piece is polished down to 30 micrometers. Very thin. Micrometer.
Okay.
30,000th millimeter. Yeah? And then the stone becomes transparent. The little stone slab becomes transparent, and then we can see the different minerals and their texture and structure and how they are combined together. And of course the composition, quartz, feldspars, mica, clay minerals, etc. Yeah?
Yes, sir.
And to enlarge even more, we have to go to the scanning electron microscope, yeah, where we can we don't analyze the sample with light, we analyze the sample with electrons, and we can enlarge much more. So we see the smallest structures, yeah, in the stone, the pores, etc. And of course, this we also can use when we do consolidation tests, for example.
Yes, sir.
Then we can see in the electron microscope how our consolidant is connecting the grains, the sand grains again, and how this function as a stabilization. Yeah.
Yes, sir. But I mean, why do you need so many, let's say, criteria to look at the stones, sir, because you want to minimize the error rate. I mean, as small as possible. Is that the objective of the research?
Main thing is to understand the stone itself, its behavior, the weathering process, what has changed during this process of weathering, and finally to adapt the conservation intervention, the materials, the methodology to the original. In former times, for example, during an intervention at Angkor Wat, they used a lot of cement.
Yes, sir.
The cement has different disadvantages, but especially on the sandstones from Angkor, which are quite soft. That's why the stonemasons or the artists could carve them so finely and so many small details, etc.
You cannot do that
where we can see the so-called Apsaras with the jewelries and the necklace and the very fine hair strains, etc. This is due to the quality of this Angkor sandstone. So if I use cement, which is much harder, much stronger, which is nearly impermeable for water. It doesn't take up water. So in this case, when it's raining and we have a big patch of cement, the cement doesn't take up the water, but the water runs off, and then the stone next to the cement gets additional water. Not the only one which is coming directly, but also which is flowing down from the cement. So this is what we try to really adapt our conservation materials or the quality of the materials, mortars, etc., that they are very similar like the stone and not totally different. In former times, people said, oh, cement is very stable, this will last very long. But we know that on the contact, the sandstone deteriorates due to the different quality of the cement. And another point is what we have to do. The materials we use have to be compatible with the...
Not the same, but compatible.
Compatible, very similar.
Very similar.
In its chemical composition as well. That's why we use for the sandstone this ethyl silicate system, because the final product of the ethyl silicate is always SiO2, which is the main component of the sandstone. Quartz is SiO2. The cement has a totally different composition. Or what was also applied at the Angkor Wat, at the final treatment, we use for consolidant ethyl silicate, and it was used acrylic resin. This is an artificial resin which behaves totally different from the stone itself. And that's why it's dangerous. We have experience with this at Angkor Wat. So this is the main issue why we try to understand the sandstone or the stones in general through many different parameters, to measurements of different parameters, and then to try to adapt our conservation intervention. For the stucco, of course, it's not ethyl silicate, it's lime. Repair mortars for stucco are made for lime. We have tested for brick. There we can use both ethyl silicate or lime. For the consolidation itself, in our opinion, and we are really convinced, the only possibility is ethyl silicate to consolidate, because it's the only material which can penetrate into the sandstone, into the stucco, into the brick. Acrylic resin does not penetrate properly.
Yes, sir. And all of this information will be valuable for future researchers and also future restoration. Of course, this is what we publish. And this is also in the documents we have. One day maybe we should go to our office outside. We have meters of files where all the work is documented on the temples we have been working up to now. Yes, sir. But is there any technique that when you apply does not work the way you expected, sir? Are there many?
Sometimes it doesn't work properly, or we sometimes don't get the results we have expected. But this is normal, yeah, because the natural materials behave not always like our models think they should. Of course, there are sometimes disadvantages. But then you have to think about what is another possibility to approach this question and this aim. Yeah? And we know, for example, just now we are doing salt reduction. In former times, people told us, were saying, desalination means you have a monument and you can remove all the damaging salts which were accumulated due to, maybe here in Angkor, due to the bad deposits inside, which have components, chemical components, which can be diluted by water and then move into the stone. And then when they go from dilution to crystallization, when it's drying, when the dilutant is drying, then it crystallizes, and then these damaging salts make pressure in the pores of the stone, and they damage the stone. This is a huge problem at our temples in Angkor, especially on the towers where we have been in the lower part. I think we were talking about this. At the moment, we have a similar problem, or not at the moment, in general, at the brick towers. All the brick towers, they have the problem with the damaging salts from the bed deposits inside. So we do a lot of testing, but we know we will never be successful even when we have the best materials for, let's say, removing some of the salts, but we never will get it the whole deep stone blocks.
It's so thick.
It's too much in there, and you with this pult, this is what we use, and there are not really other possibilities. If you have a sculptures, you can put it in a bath.
But you cannot put a big chunk of stone in the bath.
Yeah, you cannot put the temple, the Angkor Wat temple, in our office. We have a piece of the pedestal of the huge dancing Shiva from Prasat Graham in Kokher.
In Angkor Conservancy, sir. Yeah.
Now this is now in our office. And there was a Naga head from the pedestal, which was handed over by Eric Bourdaneau from the FAO, who did the excavation there, to us, that we conserve this. And it was totally full of salts. Of course, there as well, the beds always were, the bed droppings were on this altar piece. And there we built a case, and then we could put the stone into water, then you take it out, then you pull this around, that really the salt is moving outwards, and then you have to put it again in the basin in demineralized water. You can measure the salt content, then how much of the salt from the stone was diluted in the basin, and you have to change again then the water in the basin. You have to dry the head outside, put it in. So we had for this head, let's say around 15 to 20 cycles of watering, drying, watering, drying. And then we can say it's more or less desalinated.
So it's a very tedious process.
It's a very, very intensive, long-lasting process. And only with this process you can more or less guarantee that then it's salt-free. But it's not at the temples. You might maybe know we still have winter in Europe.
Yes, sir.
And in former times they used sodium chloride. Salt you can eat, to put on the pathways on the road. That the sodium chloride, when it's with the liquid on the road, diminishes the temperature when the water is freezing.
Yes, sir.
So to make roads ice free, they put a lot of salt, and all this salt moved into the structure of the houses as well. So we have a lot of problems with salts in all our houses, but this is also not possible to remove anymore. So there's always action, of the salts.
Yes, sir. So, because you have started your technical work in the 1980s, sir, and more or less you are, you can benefit from the technology, computation, or maybe advanced scanning or something like that. So, do you think your work, let's say, in a way, it's I mean, do you feel like you are lucky to have this technology compared to the restorers or the preservators from the early 1900s or something like that, sir?
Yeah, actually, of course, no question. Yeah, that we really are in a time where we have a lot of increase in knowledge, and of course, the more technology, the more techniques, the more knowledge we have, the better our work can be. And of course, our knowledge is increasing, and better knowledge has better results for the preservation of the monuments, no question. Yeah, and
Yes,
just one point, for example, now we have several colleagues and several students. We are still working in the quarries because there was a lot of work done by a Japanese Uchida, but nevertheless we don't know exactly the geology, the stratigraphy, and this is the base to justify what material is at the temple. Yeah, so we are working on this since several years. We have LiDAR. Yeah,
yes, sir.
You can see the geology much better out there than before. Yeah, the archaeologists use LiDAR. They use magnetic testing, radar testing of the underground. This is also a development which is not really old, yeah, and it improves, of course, the work of the different scientists and improves the knowledge about the site, for example, yeah.
Yes, Professor.
So this is the development of methodology of different digital techniques, etc. It's very helpful.
On to your management of your team, sir, because your work is again very complex, as I can understand it. So when you come up with a project, how do you strategically manage your team? So for example, or maybe in the project of GACP right now, you have been working in Angkor for many decades now. So normally, how do you expand your team? And when you expand your member, how do you designate each role to them? And how do you know which tool they will use or which chemical they need to procure? I mean, because this is a very delicate job. So how do you delicately manage it, sir?
Maybe I can start. This is different in different projects. Yeah.
Yes,
here in Angkor, when we started, there was the Conservation d'Angkor. There were people working in the Conservation d'Angkor, and they were working with the different at the different temples. We knew the Hungarian project at Preako from 93 to 96, and when we then started in 1997 officially, the 2 years before were just preparation of the investigations in the temples and accumulate knowledge that we could design a project. Yeah, but 1997 we started officially, and then we asked some of the Conservation d'Angkor, some staff, if they want to join our project. And we were lucky, one of the consultants of the Hungarian project, a restorer, he knew some of them, and so this was how we had the first 3 people in our project. And we started small and increased in small steps our team. Yeah. Sometimes people think, oh, it's much better to have 20 in one, but it's much more difficult to train untrained people in a subject which is very complex, as we described. Yeah. So mainly the training is then learning by doing, yeah, to show how to use it, what material we use. It's even difficult to explain the chemistry. Yeah? The chemistry of ethyl silicate is very complex. I could show you the formula. Yeah, it's really complex. Yeah,
yes,
and years ago I gave lectures outside in Apsara, and I asked, what is the chemical formula of water?
H2O, is it?
H2O, you say, but many couldn't answer this. Yeah, so due to lack of school, yeah, and the first we had, they were partly refugees. Yeah, they didn't have proper school, etc., training, so it was difficult to teach these very sophisticated things. So we just trained them, learning by doing, handling the different material, explaining how they have to apply, etc. Unfortunately, years ago, one of them died already. Yeah. Another one is working for the Stone Conservation Unit, and the third one is still working with us of them. And then 1 year later or 2 years later, we engaged 3 more. But of course, we didn't know the people. We didn't know who could be. We didn't have access. It was the time when the primary school started properly working. Yeah, so there were. Yeah, so we asked the team members, do you know somebody who is interested to join our project? And this we kept until the state we have now. Of course, we have at the moment 16 staff, 16 conservation staff at the site, and 3 female staff at the office doing the digital documentation. Yeah, we could have or engage more, but we don't have the budget for it. Yeah,
yes,
so
sir.
this is a problem. But now, of course, most of the team is handed over to Apsara. So they are staff of Apsara, and we are organizing in our cooperation project with Apsara, the German
yes,
Apsara, big letters, restoration conservation project. We are organizing the work together. Yeah.
So language was also a barrier. And
the
also,
language was, of course, a barrier. Yeah,
especially technical, chemical language.
Yeah, yeah. And I have to confess, and I'm very sad about, we still cannot speak Khmer after such a long time.
Yes.
Because, of course, in former times I was here during my vacation at university, the short time. Then I had to go back teaching, and then in summer I came back for 2 months and like this. And up to now, we have a problem to hear properly the differences in pronunciation of Khmer language, and I'm convinced, I'm not very good in language learning, yes. Yeah, but I'm convinced you have to be here for a longer period and studying every day with a teacher for at least 1 hour, and then you can be successful. But this we never had this situation. Yeah, when we are here now, we are just moving around. Yeah, had a lot of visitors. Yesterday we had site visit with our site manager at the Soyavaman Gallery. We have to organize the work of the geologists, etc. So this is, and in between we have some interviews.
Yes, sir.
Which we are very happy, grateful. Yes, thank you.
But at the same time, sir, because normally when you come to work in Cambodia, you have a lot of, let's say, resources back in Germany, the chemical, products and also the machinery.
Yeah.
That is why you are able to carry out complex research in Cambodia, sir. So in the future, if Cambodian were to, let's say, transition, more independently about this work, is it hard for them, without, the proper support in this, technical, let's say, tools? And
yeah, it's a very, very good question and a very complex question.
Yes, sir.
Actually, for the daily work of the team, we provided all the machinery. So in the office out there, we have a workshop where we have crushers, where we have mills, etc. Yeah, to prepare the materials for the conservation.
Yes, sir.
For the investigations analysis, we were hoping that in Apsara they will install a sort of a technical lab. Yeah, partly it's organized by the Korean team.
Yes, sir.
They have also testing machines. They have a microscope. Yeah, so of course it doesn't make sense that every country brings in the own lab for investigation. There must be a central lab in Apsara, and hopefully this will be improved, etc. A second point is that we tried since long time to get a contact with geologists in Cambodia. Yeah, at the beginning we visited the Ministry of Mineral Resources, and we had exchange with the geologists there. And recently again, this was also due to the fact that I always proposed in my function as ad hoc expert for NAPV, for Preah-Vihear and Kokere Authority, that I always pushed them, bring geologists to Preah-Vihear. They have to study the bedrock. They have to study the tectonic structures, etc. And since some time, the young staff, the young experts from the ITC, Institute of Technology, they were working also together with the NAPV in Preah-Vihear. And I hope that we can also improve our cooperation with them here for Angkor, that ITC is also working for Angkor, not only for Preah-Vihear, which would be important. You know, we are geologists from our studies, then moved into heritage preservation and conservation science. At our time, you couldn't study this. You had to learn it by yourself and different disciplines. But of course, geologists, in our opinion, are still important to understand the behavior of the natural material, the stone, the mineral materials, stucco, brick, etc. Even when they are artificial made, yeah, but they are composed from mineral resources.
Yes.
And I think the work at Preah-Vihear has shown that there's a really substantial input from the geologists to the work in Preah-Vihear. And of course, our geological knowledge, our geological input is here important for the Angkor temples. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
So, and the last point, of course, some of the materials are not available in the region. Yeah.
Not in Cambodia, but in the region.
Also not in the region. You cannot find ethyl silicate. I think our producer has a dependance in Singapore, so you could order in Singapore, but this does not make sense. You could also order this in Germany directly. And of course, up to now, we are still providing and doing this work of purchasing. We were hoping, and we helped also the Apsara Authority or NAPV that they can get this material. So we organized this. We ordered it in Germany, and we organized the whole transport together with the company which is producing ethyl silicate. But in future, of course, it must be done by Cambodians.
The local people.
Yeah, not only by our team. I think this is also something which has to be done, has to be centralized. Yeah, the authority has to provide this. And of course, we know it's difficult to get. Yeah, you have to plan in advance. You have to have the money in advance, yeah, that you can pay when you order. Yeah, the transport is not easy. Yeah, but we are talking to our producer, and it's now more or less nearly the only one in Europe. Yeah. America does not have, I don't know if Daikin still products something like this. The Japanese tested some materials from Japan. The company is willing to support Angkor still. Yeah, for them it's also a big, how to say, they can show we help other countries, we help Angkor, and for them it's also good to show these famous, wonderful buildings and these famous decoration, carvings, bas reliefs, etc. So this, for the future, is still a desiderate which has to be solved. Yeah, we know some then said, oh, we don't have this ethyl silicate, we switch to other materials, but there are not really materials which really fit the requirements we defined, which have to be well adapted and compatible, and which penetrate into the stone.
Yes, sir. So just to clarify a bit, the business that provide the ethyl silicate more or less decided to be in business so that they can provide the chemical to restore the bas relief at Angkor.
Yeah, they are willing to assist, you know. They're producing, and then they, up to now, they organize the transport from their company to the harbor and from the harbor to here, and then we take over and organize the custom clearance, etc., and transport from there to Siem Reap. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
It's complicated, but yeah, in many other cases, if you want to purchase a microscope for scientific analysis, it's not produced in Cambodia up to now. Yeah, it's also not produced, as far as I understand, in Thailand. Or there are only very few. If you buy a camera, you have a Japanese camera with you. Yeah. So you also have to find, of course, you have suppliers here who order and then sell it in Cambodia. This is different from our conservation materials.
Yes, sir, Professor, because, you know, it is very common to see Cambodian people before they walk into Angkor, or maybe they want to tell something to Angkor. You know, spiritually, Cambodian people often worship Tarit, which is a very big, I think, a Shiva. A Vishnu, sorry, so Vishnu, yes, God Vishnu, a very big statue at one of the Angkor Wat entrance. And I saw in your photo that your team also work on the maybe conservation or preservation of Tarit. So some people may not know. So can you explain to us a bit, sir, how was the condition of Tarit statue, and how did you make it better in the structure, sir?
Yeah, actually for us it was a real challenge, and it was a wonderful opportunity to work on such an important sculpture. Of course, we foreigners, we think it's a Vishnu, but we understood for the Cambodian people it's much more the father of the ancestors, Tarek. So this, of course, for us was a big challenge, and different from the other projects. In this case, we went to the local community, a religious community, and asked them, what do you think about our restoration conservation proposal? Would you accept it? And they said, okay. For example, we told them there are cement arms, maybe from the Conservation d'Angkor, French time. If we changed them to sandstone, they said, wonderful, because the god is living in the natural materials, not in the artificial materials, etc. So, and the condition was quite bad. We think it's really the god Vishnu from the central shrine in Angkor Wat.
The central shrine?
Could be. We are not convinced. One thing is because the arms were broken, some arms were missing. That's why they added cement arms in the early restoration phase. The lower part of the Vishnu is different stone material from the body. Yeah, I don't know if you have seen it now. It's decorated with cloth, and so you cannot see it anymore. But in former times you could easily see it. So the legs are stepping added to the body, and it's different stone material. And we could imagine that the head was broken as well. When you transport such a huge sculpture from top of Angkor Wat down, it might have been fallen, or then it breaks, and then the legs were not usable, so they made new legs for the sculpture, and the arms at the shoulders broken, etc.
Yes.
And there was already an early repair, most probably for the shoulder. To hold the shoulder, there were iron in, yeah, a welded iron. So we could think this could have been from 16th century, when
16th century.
the transformation was from a Hinduistic temple to a Buddhist pilgrimage. But this is not our field, yeah.
Yes,
we are natural scientists. But we know the head of the Vishnu was in cement. This was from the 80s. Obviously, somebody tried to steal the head, so the Conservation d'Angkor was quicker, removed the head and brought it to Phnom Penh, and it was stored in the royal palace at that time. So, okay, we were asked, can you fix, etc. And I brought a picture. One thing was for us very important. We had a scaffolding, this wooden scaffolding, but the statue was always visible during the whole process, because we thought many people are traveling far, spend a lot of money, want to see pray at the Tarek, and then they come and the normal work sites, they are closed. Nobody can see what's behind. Yeah, and we built this scaffolding and worked on this scaffolding. You can see our team working there. That the visitors could still come and see the sculpture and pray at the sculpture. So this was the first thing. The second was then we repaired the arms, stabilized the arms, and started with the cleaning and the protection of the sculpture. You can see this is a cleaned test area. Yeah, a lot of dirt also from the beds. Yeah, on the sculpture, but below you had polychromy and gilding. Yeah.
So these are what we call the gold.
Gold. We think it's from pilgrims with gold leaves. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
And finally, and this was the biggest thing for us, and for this we are really proud that we could help the Tarek. We made a proposal that we could fix the head back to the original head, that it cannot be stolen again. And there was a decision, and at that time the palace moved all the fragments they had, sculptures, to the National Museum, and there the conservator, we asked them, can you check, we made a cast of the top of the neck, yeah, yes, and send it to Phnom Penh. Does it fit to the head, which came to the National Museum and fitted, so we knew it's the original head. And then there was a decision from the government, and the head was brought here, and was all secret. And we had it stored in the Conservation d'Angkor, and in the morning we brought the head in a box to the worksite, and there was already a big puja prepared from the local community. Yeah, so and somehow they recognized there's something going on, and very important one. And of course the head of the Tarek came back, the original head. So and at that time we closed for a short moment the scaffolding with a curtain, and removed the cement head, put the new head out, and now we have the sculpture. We proposed then that somebody should some protection should be above, and the local community then decide the umbrella. Yeah, and now it's protected from the bad deposits, etc. And I think the local people, they put on the ropes, etc. And also for Lakshmi on the next to it, yeah, the same. I think this is a very, very successful object or project, and we are very proud that we were part of this, and our team as well, of course.
Yes, sir. So the concrete head was meticulously chipped away, or you can just like, take it out and then replace it?
I didn't understand the beginning.
You mean like the concrete head? You say that the head was...
somebody obviously tried to open the joint again, yeah.
And then it was replaced with a concrete head.
And then it was replaced by a copy, concrete copy.
So
in the 1980s, we found in the documents, yeah.
But when you put the original head back, how did you take away the concrete head, sir? Like, do you chip away?
Yeah, of course you could open the joint with a chisel. This was prepared already, and then when the head was at the side, it was already loose, the concrete head. We just could take it off and put the original on, and there was already a steel pin inside and to fix the original head.
Yes, sir. And also the arm, made from sandstone were then carved and then put back.
At that time, the restorer, Simon Warwick, was still working with us. He was also a stonemason. I had a student who was a stonemason before he started studying, and they were working on the new arms, on the sandstone arms, which are more or less a copy of the other arms. Yeah. Because we don't really know how they looked like.
Even though we can see other bas-relief or sculpture from other temple, but we cannot, always rely on those information.
Yeah, and because, of course such a sculpture was very individually made. Yeah. So I think there's not anywhere another copy or a model or something like this. Yeah.
Yes, sir. So how long did this project took you to do, sir?
Starting from the first documentation and the research, and then to the final intervention, I think it was 2 years, around 2 years. But it's a long time ago already.
So when you go to Angkor Wat to do other preservation and then you see the sculpture, do you still remember, the vivid memory that you still work on this before? Or sometimes
of course,
it becomes like normal?
Especially when we have visitors, we always pass at the Tariq to explain the work there, and of course the value of the sculpture for the local community. Yeah.
I see, sir.
And actually we did another work. One of the students made an inventory of all movable objects, which means sculptures, fragments of architecture, etc. in the Angkor Wat. And there it was a similar process that suddenly the local community recognized the value of their objects. The student, Emmeline, she was working several weeks in the chambers of the central shrine to clean them. She found sculptures in the deposit. This level of deposits from the bed. It was really an incredible work of her, because it's stinking there was stinking in there, etc. And also the local community then started to install this praying or place in the Gallery of Thousand Buddhas. Suddenly there were curtains underneath the ceiling. There were clothes for the sculpture, for the Buddhist sculpture, etc.
Yes,
so this is, in our opinion, also important work. But in the process of revitalization of the traditions and the religion in the country.
So moving on to the next question, because when I visit Angkor Wat Temple, there's a very small office, not very small, but relatively small office, made from wood, and also a very nice garden next to the pagoda and the shop of the people, and also a very, immersive view of Angkor Wat from, the angle. So why did you put an office there, sir? And what was its history? And, is it something that you plan to do it, or, it happens to be there and then, you endure its life until now, sir?
Okay. Yeah, actually, of course, we planned it because it's not only a sort of office where we can inform also visitors about the conservation work. Yeah, it's mainly also storage for equipment and materials the team has to use at the worksite. This is not possible to transport every day from here to the worksite. This doesn't make sense.
Yes,
so we have generators, etc., and we have the conservation materials there. And maybe you have seen also behind we have a workplace when we have to carve pieces to insert in the masonry at Angkor Wat. This is done, so we have a storage of stone material, Angkor stone material, and there they can also carve. We have a part is just only for scaffolding, that you know the team, when they need some extension at the scaffolding, they just go down instead of going to the Apsara compound far outside, which is very time consuming. So this is there. But the second point, or first point, we planned this to have something like this. The second point is that we only do something when we have the permission. So we didn't decide ourselves to have it there. Yeah? When we started, we made several proposals where we could have such a storage and info center. And then it was the former head of the Apsara, at that time he was Minister of Culture, the famous architect Van Mollivan.
Yes, sir.
And with him we decided this could be a place where it's not disturbing the view of the temple, not disturbing the site, but is helpful, it's close to the site that the team can use it, and also that visitors can see it. So we were very, very happy and very grateful that late Excellency Van Mollivan agreed that we have this building there. And now we take care. It's not easy because from time to time a lot of the wood has to be renewed due to the termites. Even when we protect it from the bottom, then we have the problem with the monkeys on the roof. It's also not cheap because we always use leaves from the Kulen, which are more resistant than normal. This is also these leaves, on this small hut, and it's low inflammable. These leaves, you can hold a torch, brick it, and doesn't burn. So. But we have to renew it latest every 2 years, and because then the monkeys come and they pull out, and so they are a little bit disturbing, So, but we are happy that we can have this info center and storage, which is, of course, very important for the work at the site.
So there are a lot of memories over there, sir, for you.
There are a lot of memories, and especially also when we started to discuss with the authority, with late Excellency Van Mollivan, and he understood very well that it's necessary to have something there. And
yes, sir. And moving on to the restoration of brick temples, because normally you mentioned you work on stones, and in Cambodia, brick temples are very common, especially the pre-Angkorian temples, and they also can be very fragile, and they are, unique in their own sense. Some of the temples are very important. For example, Prai Rup, they are made from brick, Praku, Lolei, and of course
also Pakong, several towers.
Yes, sir. So when you consider brick, how would you approach it? Because bricks are man-made. Sandstones, of course, are natural. So when it is man-made, when you look at them, do you see anything different? Or maybe you understand the mindset of the creator of bricks in the past? Something like that, sir?
Yeah, actually, our approach is the same.
The same.
Very similar. Observing, documentation, testing, research on the material, etc. And as I said once, we understand brick, of course it's artificially made, but what we are specialized in, it's not only in sandstone. We define it as mineral porous materials.
Yes, sir.
So the materials have pores, they consist of minerals.
Yes, sir.
And this is what is similar. One artificial, one is natural. Yeah, it's the same with the stucco. It belongs also. Cement belongs also to this field. Yeah, in Europe we have modern cement buildings we have to preserve. So we are working on this as well. So the approach is very similar. What we recognized, we had also a student did a master thesis on this, that the brick are very, very, very different. Very many varieties in composition, in hardness, strength, in water absorption. And this makes it very complicated to define the conservation materials which have to fit a huge variety of. Yeah, we know sandstone in Angkor we have to modify also a little bit because the sandstone has also variations in its behavior. But for general in Angkor sandstone we need some specific material for the Angkor sandstone type. Another material if there would be necessary for Bantasrey sandstone type or Takeo sandstone type. But in the brick, the variation is quite very, very big. Yeah, and especially also the formats. Yeah, Anselm has done a lot of work also in Samba Brickhook.
Yes, sir.
In Angkor, on many brick temples, collected a lot of samples, measuring the brick size at samples, and developing materials for the conservation. And I said, there we have the two possibilities. Either we stay in the ethyl silicate group, or we can also work with lime. But in general, we don't work. We have been working in 1999 to 2005 on the brick as well with the brick team of Apsara. Yeah, but then we handed over the brickwork to the Apsara brick team. Yeah, we are working together with them on one scaffolding, but we are focusing on these towers, on the sandstone elements, the doors, the guardians, and the stucco, while the Angkor brick team is dealing with the brick material. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
But
normally the process, the evaluation, the technique are very similar.
Always, the approach is always the same. Yeah, systematic, step by step, until we come to the point where we can say now we have the materials and the methodology in hand, and now we can start with the conservation. This is very often not really well understand that you need long time to prepare something before you can start. Many people think, oh, you are a specialist, you should start immediately. But this makes the big problems when you don't have the appropriate materials at hand.
Yes, sir. But, bricks, I mean, are they easier to restore or preserve than sandstone? Maybe they're smaller size?
Similar. It's similar. There's not a big difference, yeah?
Yes, sir.
Of course, they are smaller size, but of course in the Khmer brick temples, we have, it's more or less one stone block, one brick block, yeah? You know, we don't know exactly how they did it, what glue they used, but the bricks are sticking together, and they made a rough building, and then they carved like the sandstone buildings. Yeah, all the decoration, all the profiles, etc., is made by stonemasons. Yeah, and actually the brick shrines, you can see it easily. The top mostly is deteriorated, so you have to fix some stones. You have to take care that the water run off is guaranteed. Yeah, that no water is infiltrating into the structure. So you have to close holes. You have to fix loose bricks, etc., which is done by the brick team. Normally not necessary to consolidate with means to consolidate the structure of the brick. Yeah.
Yes, sir. But normally when we observe brick temples, we also often see stucco or maybe mortar that they use to sculpt the sculpture, and over time they are very brittle. So how do you deal with stucco? So is it different from brick and limestone, the way you preserve it?
Actually, we have developed a sort of a toolbox of materials for stucco specifically, yeah? And this is based on lime. Normally, the stucco, the structure is very stable.
Oh.
It's not deteriorating much, of course, after 1,000 years. Of course, the surface is somehow rough and washed out. But nevertheless, the grains, they stick together very, very hard. So it's a very, very slow process that you lose particles from the surface. The main problem of the stucco is that it detaches from the brick wall.
Oh, they don't bind together very well.
Brick and stucco is not fixed very well. Yeah, and we started in Pakong with the conservation of the stucco. Once we found at the foot of one tower in the grass a lot of fragments of stucco. So there was, we don't know when, a big piece of stucco was fallen down. Yeah?
So you cannot just reassemble them. It's not possible to do that.
Actually, we tried, and the student tried out. We could bring some pieces, smaller, minor pieces back, but we should do. It's like a puzzle. You have to put everything on the floor and then check the shape and the edges, etc., which fits together. And of course, we know the rapport, we know the design. Then it could be possible, but we didn't have time or people who would do it.
Yes.
And maybe nowadays, with KI,
I'm sorry, sir, I do not know that.
Computer intelligence, artificial intelligence.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, maybe this could be easier when we scan all the fragments and then ask the
computer to try.
The computer to try to fit everything together.
I see.
One day maybe we start with this. Yeah. But this is the main challenge, and very often do you have a gap between the stucco and the brick wall, and of course this has to be closed, and we have to inject to reattach the stucco to the brick wall. This is the work what we are doing at the moment also on towers at Preako. Yeah. Yes. And this is also one of our strategies. The materials, the methodologies, in this case, very often is developed with our students from Europe, from my university. And when they have tested everything, they make a test area to show whether it works or not. And then when we decide, okay, this is a system we can apply, the methodology we can apply, the materials we can apply, then the student normally also trains our team. That they get used with these other materials, yeah, which is different from sandstone conservation. Yeah? So that's why our team is able to do sandstone conservation, but also stucco conservation. And they also learned from the other student the materials for the brick conservation. They could do it as well. Yeah?
Yes, sir. But normally your job is mostly on sandstone, and the brick are more toward Apsara team, sir.
The brick is Apsara team, stucco is our team, and sandstone is our team, yes.
I see,
and
sir.
The only one who were working on polychrome decoration up to now, this was also our research, yeah. It's very difficult to make an intervention on the polychrome design inside the brick tower.
And also, sir, when you do research, one of the objectives is to preserve it and then to transfer the knowledge to the later generations. And also, the younger generation always want to know what their parents did, what their grandparents did. And also, just now you showed me a very, a packed cupboard with so many research books that your students have gathered throughout the decades, sir. A simple question, but maybe the answer can be very interesting, more interesting than I thought. How does the knowledge contribute back to Germany, sir? Like, why Germany wants to learn about all of this, sir, in general?
Tja, how to answer? Yeah, in general, of course, I think at the beginning I told you already that for us it's important to step into new challenges, new fields. Only in this way, if we do research and more research, we can improve and increase our knowledge. Yeah? Yes, if we say, oh, now we know everything, we have a system finish, yeah, then maybe we get stuck, yeah, or the scientific approach gets stuck. I think this is the normal thing, that you always have to go forward. And this is for us very good in all the different projects I described, also in Germany. We learned every day. Yeah?
Yes, sir.
And that's why we are able to give our knowledge back to the young generation, give the knowledge to Cambodian conservators or to Borobudur people or wherever. Yeah? Only if we increase our knowledge, we can also increase the knowledge of our students. Yeah? For the students, of course, it was always an offer. If you want to come for a practical term or for a final thesis, you're welcome. And many of the students took the opportunity to do so. Yeah, and we had students who came more often. Yeah, also one of them is still coming sometimes when we ask him, we have a celebration, or so, can you assist? He says, of course, immediately. I will take for holidays, permission for holidays, and then I come. We had one student living here for at least for 4 or 5 years, first coming for a practical term, then coming during their main studies, then doing a diploma thesis, then came back for a master thesis, and then she stayed for 5 years here working with the team, which was very good for us. Yeah? So for them is, of course, it's young people travel anyway. But if the beside only traveling, learning about different countries, foreign countries, yes, if they can stay there for time, I think the experience is much more intensive. Yeah, yes, when they can exchange much better with the local people instead of being only a tourist who is going to the pub street and morning to the temples, in the evening to the pub street, and doesn't have much exchange with maybe only the people from the hotel, the local people. Yeah, so this is a big, I think, present for our students that they could be here. And at the beginning, it was only students from my university, from my studies faculty. Then we had different students from other schools of restoration in Germany. And then we had students from New Zealand, Australia, US, from France, from Poland, etc. So they read in internet. This is also the possibility now. There is a project. I tried to apply. I asked if it's possible, and so they came, and that's why we had many students here. And I think most of them were very happy that they could join such a project and learn, because also for them it's important to learn the processes in a comprehensive way and in different conditions, climatic conditions, worksite conditions, etc.
Yes, but correct me if I'm wrong, but for example, the data that you gather are all in books. They are in numbers, they are in theory, or they are in ideas. But when it goes to Germany, because Germany is a very industrialized country, so maybe, for example, the machine manufacturer might want the data so that they can invent new machine, innovate new machine, calibrate their machine, something like that. Or maybe, archaeologists from other countries might want to look at the data to compare their stone to our stone. So is this how the data can be used in practical applications?
Yeah, of course, in general, in our science, of course, you exchange between the different scientists in different regions and different countries. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
For the technical devices, the field restoration, conservation, this is not a field where you can earn much money. So we had a few companies in Germany who were producing specific machines for testing, etc. Yeah,
Yes, sir.
but there's not a big business. Yeah, it's like also our producer for the till silicate. It's only one in Germany. Of course, many other companies sell it. Yeah, what they produce, but this is not a real field where. In Germany, industrial country, you produce machines for I don't know what. Yeah, a lot of technical devices to produce other machines or cars or etc. Of course, this is the business. There's the money in. Yeah,
Yes, sir.
yeah. So, but nevertheless, for the community dealing with monuments, heritage people, this is very helpful to exchange data and see and. Maybe a very, very short story. When I saw the damages on the Angkor Wat, on the bas-reliefs,
Yes, sir.
I had a picture in my brain. I was working in the region of Germany. We had the same damages. Identically the same damages. And I thought, what is the difference? There we have frost. Here we have no frost, a lot of rain. Why can it be that we have... Is it the same stone material and the similar process of deterioration? So we did a lot of testing, and we recognized the stone from there in Germany. Even we as a geologist normally cannot say, if you have two pieces, this is from here or this is from there. Even when it's so far away from each other. Obviously here, in the time when the Angkor sandstone was formed, there were very similar conditions for the formation of sandstone like in this region in Germany. We have many other different sandstones and limestones as well, yeah. But this one very specific sandstone in Germany
happens to be...
If I put a stone from here in a quarry there, the geologists then will not recognize that this stone does not belong there. Because it's so similar in not only in the composition, but in the whole behavior I described earlier today.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So, and of course from this we learned a lot, and we could start on a quite high level when we recognized, very similar, we have different climatic conditions, etc. But what is the reason for this type of deterioration?
Yes, sir. This is more toward a bit of a metaphor, or maybe the concept of, for example, you as a person who have been working so many decades in Angkor, sir. There are many sayings about Angkor. Some people say, for example, technically and also metaphorically, they say it is a heaven on earth. Some say it is a hydraulic city. I happened to stumble across a book in 2002. The UNESCO book, they mentioned Angkor as a living museum, something like that, sir. And you also feature in that book from 2002, sir. So, do you have any word to describe Angkor from your perspective, sir? Maybe the city of Apsara, or maybe the city of masonry, or the city of stone. Do you have any sentence, compatible to other people's ideas, sir?
Actually, I never thought about this. No, it's an incredible accumulation of wonderful built structures with extremely beautiful decorations in different materials. It's for sure a unique site on the heritage site in the world, for sure. Yeah. But of course, it's an hydraulic city. This is a fact, because they were able to collect water, to channel water, and to bring it to the rice fields, etc. It's a holy city, for sure. Yeah, and for us, it's always very important, and this is something where we don't agree with the mass tourism. Yeah, the people only want to see the monuments. Yeah. But they are living monuments. This means they are places for praying for the local community, for the people, for the Buddhist people. And normally the people are so loud, and they then, if you go to a church in Europe, as well the same. The people just talking. Normally we were learned as children, you have to be quiet, you're praying, you may not disturb with noise the other people, yeah. When we go to the very, very famous Sistine Chapel, yeah, in Rome at the Vatican, extremely wonderful building with paintings from Michelangelo, yeah, incredible, and it's full of tourists. And then every, let's say, maximum 5 minutes, there's a voice in the off say, please quiet. So the noise goes down, and within 5 minutes, it's noisy that you nearly have to close your ears. Yeah. So the people don't accept, and this is something where mass tourism doesn't fit really with the
maybe the core value of
the value of the buildings. Yeah, they are monuments, of course. Yeah, and this is, people come to see this, but very often I can only see they don't respect the inner value. It's a religious building, and you have to behave properly in dress, in shouting. Of course, we have the code of conduct somehow, but I don't know if many people look properly at it. Yeah. So for me, that it's a living heritage. It's a living community in here who is using the temples, the Cambodians, the Buddhist people. This is for me the very, very precious value.
You came here since the 1990s, so a time that I was not, I was not born yet. I don't know what happened. Uncle, what, back then, of course, compared to Germany, it was a bit rural, people are still living a bit in a difficulty, yes, from the sources that I hear. So when you come here, sir, how did you adjust yourself to the work, of course, but also to the daily life, sir? For example, you make your way to the temple and back to the office, or maybe the food that you had, to eat, and the people that you had to meet, and also the climate that you had to adjust. How did you manage to do all of that and also to work on this monument, big projects?
Yeah, actually, specific the work, this develops slowly, step by step. Yeah, and of course, sometimes at the beginning I thought maybe I should not have started it, because these huge monuments, all the other monuments which need help. But I think this is a process. If you can start something, first of all, you also want to become successful. Yeah. If you stop it, it's not very satisfying. Yeah. In between. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
So this is why, of course, we continued and built up, and it was growing, and it became successful. We could engage Cambodian staff. We saw that they could increase their lifestyle. We could see that their families could increase their lifestyle. In general, of course, at the beginning it was exotic for us. It's tropic country.
Yes, sir.
Hot, yes. Rainy season, a lot of water. Everything was very simple. Okay, our first house, or the guest house, was also very simple. Yeah, of course. There we had a shower, finish, and a fan on the ceiling.
Nothing like today, sir.
Nothing like today. Yeah, now we live nearly luxury in this wonderful house here. Yeah, with aircon, etc. But it was nice, and when we had the first house rented, we had a cook. She was very good. We enjoyed the food. Yeah, it was for us exotic, and maybe we were a bit earlier than the mass tourists came to Southeast Asia, where they said, "Oh, Asian food is very, very good." Yeah. Now we have a friend. He is living in Germany. He has a blog of Asian food, Southeast Asian food. Yeah, he is at home. He is only cooking Asian food for him and his wife. Yeah, our house. Yeah, in the ceiling, the fan, very many power cuts. So it was hot, then the fan stopped, you start sweating, then the fan started again, then you catch the cold. We had a very primitive bathroom and toilet. Yeah, maybe you don't remember, there was a basin, always filled with water. This was our shower, yeah. But it was okay. It was okay.
You didn't take it as something difficult.
No.
I mean, it's just part of life.
Part of life, and of course you have to also somehow to accept conditions when you want to do something. You cannot say, "Oh, I want to do this here, yeah, but I need 5-star hotel. I want to only to live in 5-star." We don't have the money for 5-star hotels. Yes, of course. At that time, also the Grand Hotel, it was in a very, very bad condition. Once, the first time we were here, we sent a letter to the court, and we knew that the king was in town, so we asked for what is it called? A visit, audience.
Audience, yes, sir.
And 2 days later, we had the invitation letter. Please come at that time at 3 o'clock.
So we used to pay a visit to the king, sir.
Yeah.
King Norodom Sihanouk.
Norodom Sihanouk, yeah, late king. And we went there, and then there was his office lady, and she said, 5 minutes, 5 minutes, you have time, 5 minutes. He said, okay. The king was in his audience room, and he invited us to sit down, and he started to telling stories, asking us, what are you doing, how is going, how is life here? We were there more than 1 hour. And then we asked Majesty, maybe have a group photo. He said, of course, let's go to the garden. We had made a group photo. Wonderful. And he invited us for next day to a film session where he presented his films in the Grand Hotel. And it was really down, the Grand Hotel at that time. But we had seen Anchor Scene and Dying, the title more or less of one of his films, etc. We had 3 hours filming at the Grand Hotel. But then also Grand Hotel improved, etc. And our next house was a bit higher standard, and we had a normal shower, and we had still the fans. And when we moved in here, we had the first room where we now are living, my wife and he always, which has its own bathroom, and we have an aircon. And then later I asked the owner, of course we had to pay to build in air cons in every room. So now everybody feels comfortable. And of course I have to confess, when I was young, I could deal with the heat much better than I can do nowadays. And of course I grew, so it's also took on weight, and this is more difficult than when you're very slim. But of course it's also, when it's new, it's challenging, and you don't take care about the heat, But nowadays, we, of course, very often we have meetings, we have to work on something we brought from Germany, etc. And then you need good climate, You cannot deal sitting outside. For us, it's too hot, especially in June when we are here.
Yes, sir. And also your work at Angkor, many many bas reliefs have been restored throughout your life. So you also see, the timeline that it goes.
Yeah, but this is something specific in conservation science that this should never stop, and it doesn't mean when you have conserved in a specific area, then that's done forever. We cannot make it new like it was when it was built. There's still all the problems with it, and that's why in Germany we have a word for it, Denkmalpflege, which means maintenance, heritage maintenance. We don't say it's archaeology, it's heritage maintenance, which means you have to maintain. Like your house, you have to repair the roof, you have to repair the water drainage, etc. Every times in a while, and that's the same with the monuments.
And my last question for this interview, sir, about preservation, but not about stone, about the preservation of flesh and blood. You know, you are still very strong. You know, you have been to many parts of the world. You have worked in very extreme climate, tropical, Saharan desert, and also, you know, the freezing cold of, you know, Europe. You gave a 2 hours interview at Angkor without, you know, being tired, I assume. So throughout this year, sir, is there any technique that you keep yourself strong? You know, maybe your mind strong, sharp. You know,
I don't
maybe
know.
a comment to the younger people. So
I don't know. Of course, it's big fun to have this interview with you. So
yes,
it's not getting tired. No possibility.
Yes,
it's just fun, and it's just good to talk to each other. I don't know. I think it's dangerous for people who have been working all their life and then they retire and they stop working at all. I can see it also with my brother. It's very difficult and nothing new is coming. No interesting new facts. It's just the life is running from day to day quicker. I think continuing working, that keeps you, I'm not young anymore, but healthy, more healthy, and also with your brain keeps you up sharp with the brain, because you always have challenges and you have to think about and you have to discuss. You meet people. This is also something which is like a fountain where you jump in and get younger and younger. I think one of the, at least for us, for my wife and me, it's correct. I think we feel still good as long as we are still running and working, and of course in former times when I arrived here, the whole night flight, I changed my clothes, I put my blue trouser on, and then we went directly to the work site. And so we never had what all tourists think is normal, had this time jet lag, etc. If you don't think about it, you don't have a jet lag. If you see the politicians who move around the world,
yes, sir.
They wouldn't. Of course, they have better seats but nevertheless, when they arrive somewhere, they start with meetings. So they must be fresh. Nowadays, when we come, we rest first. The first day we rest, lay down a little bit, and then meet the others, and then meet the team, and then we start work a little bit slower than in former times at the beginning. But nevertheless, the work is still the same.
Yes, sir. So more or less, work keeps you young.
Work keeps us not young, but maybe a little bit
stronger,
fresher. In case we would stop, maybe then we decline rapidly. We don't know. Of course, when you're getting old, you have problems. I damaged my knees on the temples. Every day, up and down, and now the knees are not very good. I cannot walk properly. Sometimes the back is also old, but okay. This is normal.
Yes, Professor. So thank you so much, Professor, for your very intricate, detailed interview. Very passionate about your work, sir. I am very thankful for your time, sir. And I hope to interview you, sir, again very soon, sir.
You're very welcome to come back. We discuss other things and topics, but hopefully from our field.
Yes, sir.
And not any philosophy or something like that.